Happy, happy, happy. It's One Funny Morning. I'm Dana Blizzard, and it's too early in the morning. This is the dumbest show in the whole world.
From Monday
to Friday.
Sometimes on Saturdays.
Why would you say that in front of all these people?
Dean stinks.
You never know what's gonna happen.
That's your Dateline voice?
I don't know.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't.
It's not a chicken leg. This is a chicken leg.
Look at that manhole cover on my face.
Not a bad rendition of me. Hold on.
It's such a small town. So if you're walking, people just be like, "Do you want to ride?" It's like they don't need Uber. They
what?
just have.
What?
They just pull over. They give you a honk,
No.
and they're like, "We know your brother. We'll give you a ride to school or whatever."
That's called
our small
murder
town.
in New Jersey.
What's outside your Puerto Rico?
Bestselling! Yeah!
Hi, it's Judy from Saskatoon, and I'm on another exciting Saskatoon murder mystery weekend with my victim, my friend, Marydell.
Hi, I'm Mary Dell from Medicine Hat. Take it away, Dina, for the morning show.
Okay, that probably requires some explaining. Judy, that's hilarious. All right, so this must be the part of the official tour in Saskatoon. Judy showed me the bridges in Saskatoon. There's a lot of them. And then we went to a couple shops downtown. And then we stopped at that park that they're standing at. It's a beautiful river, but it's got these weird coffins that just stick out of the ground. They're not coffins. I don't know what they are. There's these. I go, what are these? And Judy was like, I think that they're sails. I think that's what she said. And I said, no, those are straight coffins coming out of the ground. Just you guys just put them around. She goes, what are you talking about? So I got in whatever that thing is, and I did. I went like this. I think there's a picture of me somewhere. And now it's part of the Saskatoon tour. Oh, it's so dumb. Mm-hmm. No, they're not buried boat. They look, maybe they're like canoes. I don't know. Different time zone, Shakendra. I'm still late. Don't worry about it. It's still late. I feel hungover. I'm gonna blame the drunken cherries that I had last night from Diana, and maybe the bourbon. And then a lot of stuff. So I'm not sure. You know when you do that thing where like you're looking over here and then you turn your head, but you're still looking at stuff over here like that? Like everything's like real slow. I know. Tanya, are you at the airport? Where are you? You should be in the air. I thought your flight was at 6. I'm so confused. So many people are leaving. It could have been the bourbon before the cherries. You're not wrong, Shakendra. Today is my daughter's 17th birthday. I think the moms should get celebrated on kids' birthday. Girl. Oh my goodness. You guys are already there and you're already at 8:43. You're so crazy. So you feel hungover because you're hungover. I feel hungover when I don't drink, when I'm not hungover. Oh my gosh. I don't know how I feel about Shakendra and Tanya already being in an Uber somewhere in Nashville. About to get this podcast out. Okay, I'm so tired. It is happy Juneteenth. There you go. Let me just read something to address Juneteenth. Let me see. How to celebrate. Oh, there it is. Juneteenth. The Beginner's Guide to Celebrating Juneteenth. Let's do it. For more than 1.5 centuries, the Juneteenth holiday has been sacred for many Black communities. It marks the day in 1865 enslaved people in Galveston, Texas found out they had been freed after the end of the Civil War and 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. Since it was designated as a federal holiday in 2021, Juneteenth has become more universally recognized beyond Black America. Many people get the day off or school, and there's been a plethora, that's a big word, street fairs, festivals, concerts, and other events. People who never gave June 19th a holiday more than a passing thought may be asking themselves, is there a right way to celebrate Juneteenth? I would like to know. Am I getting cake? That's just basically what I want to know. It depends on what you want. Juneteenth festivities are rooted in cookouts and barbecues. In the beginnings of the holiday celebrated as Black America's true Independence Day, the outdoors allowed for large, rauncous reunions among formerly enslaved families, many who have been separated. The gatherings were especially revolutionary because they were free of restrictive measures known as Black Codes, enforced in Confederate states, controlling whether liberated slaves could vote, buy property, gather for worship, and other aspects of daily life. So last week, the White House kicked off early with a concert on the South Lawn for Juneteenth and Black Music Month. Singer Gladys Knight, Patti LaBelle were on the lineup. There's also gospel, rap, jazz, and other genres. Kamala was there dancing on stage. Promise of freedom and opportunity. You may celebrate by doing community service, attending an educational panel, or taking some time off. So we shall celebrate. It doesn't mention cake. I'm going to throw cake in because I feel like just raunchous. I think it said raunchous, but it could be raunchy family reunions. Tanya and Shakendra will take care of that. And yeah, so there you go. So eat cake. I just did that. Is there official food of Juneteenth? This is barbecue. I think I can do that. I can participate. I'm a fan. What should I take to make it so my eyes line up with my face? I thought about having some coffee. It's not raunchous, it's raucous. Am I saying it wrong? Am I spelling it right? Yeah, let's look up. I like raunchous. I'm saying it wrong. Raucous, let's say. Unpleasantly loud. There's no N in it. I think that all my family reunions are raunchy, and that's why I did it. Here it is. Raucous. No, like raw cuts. I got you. Raucous. No, my family reunions are raunchy. I don't know. Are your family reunions raucous or raunchy? I wasn't wrong in the way I pronounced it. They're loud and raunchy. Raunchous. Kimberly, we leave super early Friday. So we're trying to get all the things done that we need to get done. The coffee's all the way over there. Do you think we can get it? Let's try. Okay. Mine are boring. Who are you calling loud? I don't know, Shakendra. Who would I be discussing? When you and Tana are probably drunk, watch out for this skirt, are probably drunk right now in the back of a taxi cab in Nashville. Who am I talking about? I don't know. All right. Every once in a while, we need a medicinal cup of coffee. Everybody hang out. Okay. Why is everything so hard? There's no water. All right. Plan B. Hey, Brooke Blizzard. Plan B is Brooke Blizzard. Hold on. I look so dumb. I didn't realize how dumb I look. Hey, Birdie. Can you come make me a cup of coffee? I don't feel good. I don't want a scooter. Right, I'm back. Mr. Rogers never entered this way, and I don't know why he didn't. Why can't I? Was calling. Oh, the hard C is better than the soft one. Raucous. No one's ever used that in a sentence. Mooney, let me just say, when I'm home and on this scooter, I am in my element. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, mm-hmm. I should add it perfectly. I'm really fast, but only here. No, I had to put shorts on underneath it, Kelly, because I think it might just be a long t-shirt. Do you ever go shopping? You're like, girl, is this a long t-shirt or is this a really short dress? I don't know. So I have. Mm-hmm. We're actually having separate conversations with each other while commenting in the live. Of course you are. Going fast, 2 miles an hour. Sam, when he did the foot kick in the air, it was the best part. Hey, Brooke. She coming. Spot on, Lori. He's not wrong. I've already threatened the children that they have, because it's 1 week from today, this boot comes off. So you have 1 week to get the basement clean, because I'm going down. And when I get down there, I will lose my mind if my laundry room is trashed. I tried using a scooter when I broke my foot, but thought it was dangerous. Oh, it's dangerous. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It would be quicker to order Starbucks and have Uber Eats deliver. You're not wrong. This could be all day. Do you ever have your kids just say, yeah, I'm coming, I'll get that for you, and then they never, you hope like people have never hoped before. And you're like, yeah, no, my food's coming, like a dum-dum. You're like, yeah, she's bringing me some soup. You know when you're like deathly ill and you ask your kids for soup, they're like, yeah, I'm getting you soup. And you wait like a dum-dum, like you think it's coming. It's not coming. It's just going to be forever. I used to crawl on the floor, like just like someone feed me. Nothing. They'd step over me. I don't know. I might be hungover from the drunken cherries Grandma made, and maybe the bourbon that I had before and after that. I can't really pinpoint it. I'm going to blame the cherries. Either way, I have a little bit of a headache. Thank you. I appreciate you. And if you can make it the way like they do at Starbucks, or the kind that you make where you just put mostly sugar in it, just like a little bit of milk, so it's more like an ice cream milkshake than a coffee, that would be great. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I lost my mind yesterday and told my 10-year-old that I was glitching out. He understood. I feel like if you use their terms, you don't know how many times I told Jacqueline yesterday that I had Riz. And every time I said, Jacqueline, I have Riz now. And she was like, first of all, you're not even using it correctly. I go, no. I found out it means charisma, and I have it sometimes, not around you, but other people that I enjoy. And she was like, you're not using it right. It's supposed to be like, girl, you got Riz, but like with like a guy, like guys are interested. I go, do you know how many service people that service plumbing and power washing of a house that are approximately over the age of 70 are totally into me? It's a very specific niche, Jacqueline. And in that niche, I kill. So everybody's niche is different. You know, remember when you were 22 and your Riz was everybody? You're like, guys, I have Riz everywhere, just everywhere. But when you get old, it's the pie. Remember, it was a whole pie to choose from. And now you're like, what kind of crust does it have? Like, is there a crust? It's just, there's nothing left but crusty parts. And so you're just like, this is what I'm interested in. If I could just find my niche, it would be. Oh, and urinal guy. Yeah, Missy. That's right. I don't want to take away guys in the urinal, because Missy and I were at a show one night. I want to just say it. And what did he say, Miss? A friend of ours was in the bathroom, in the men's room, and we had just finished a show. And on the way out, a guy came up to me. He was like, how do I find you, like, on the socials? And I was like, oh, let me pull it up on Facebook. I go, good, great, we're friends now. And that was it. Well, apparently, he went to the urinal and started saying, somebody said, did you get her number? That was me. Did you get my number? And he said, no, but I'm going to try and keep in touch. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, somebody's talking about me at the urinal? Because that's all you've left. And then Missy was like, wait a minute, did anybody mention me at the urinal? Because I was on the same show. And then we were like, ooh, like, we're going to need you to go back in the bathroom and talk Missy up. That's where we are. Over 50. You have to rely on other people to notice you and mention you at the urinal. So just not everybody has to like your Riz. No, you just got to find my Riz range is from Al the plumber to retired urinal man. Thank you, Melanie. Very nichey. I'm proud of it. I still don't understand about skibbity or whatever that is.
I don't know.
What's skibbity?
That's past my age group.
Past your age group. It's below you?
Yeah.
Skibbity is under you and you're 20?
I don't know.
I got an Urban Dictionary yet. Skibbity toilet. That doesn't sound right.
No, that's what it is.
Skibbity toilet. That's a term that people use. Use it in a sentence.
Skibbity toilet riz. That's what it is.
Skibbity toilet riz. This is a specific kind of riz.
My students say I don't know.
We're getting real deep. Skibbity toilet. The horrors of skibbity toilet. Created a short featuring a man's head emerging from a grungy toilet and singing songs. Is this how you know you're old? When young people try to explain things to you and you have no frame of reference to even know what we're talking about. Skibbity toilet is a video game. I thought skibbity was a word to make you laugh. It's making me laugh. So you shouldn't sit down and be like, oh my gosh, I just had my skibbity done and it looks amazing. Like that? No.
What's skibbity?
I don't know. I'm asking you what skibbity is. Google it, find out, and get back to us. We can't leave today's live without understanding. We finally understood what Riz was. And then Jacqueline took that away from me. So if you can get to the bottom of skibbity, that would be helpful.
I don't know.
What in the Tiffany home? Here's the thing. I imagine this must be akin to Pig Latin. Do you remember? Do you think parents knew what we were talking about when we were... So, Bird, in the 70s, we did Pig Latin. Did you hear about this?
I know about Pig Latin.
A little bit. We were very fluent. And I wonder if our parents looked at us the same way when I said skibbity toilet. If they were like, what in the world are these dum-dums saying? I don't, like, for instance, I don't think Grandma knows Pig Latin. I could use some very simple words and Grandma would be like, what are you talking about?
Wait, say something.
In Pig Latin? Ime omne si inade. Was that accurate? We did Pig Latin in the 60s.
Can you just switch around like the first letter?
Yeah, so your name would be Rook Bay. You take the Rook Bay.
Where did the creamer go? Oh.
Nobody knows. Thank you, Melanie. I know. So listen, there's a lot of nonsense in the universe, and Brooke is gonna do some research. And skibbity is not zippity doo dah. It's different. It's a different letter. Brooke's gonna get to the bottom of it.
No.
My dad's side could do it so well. Oh, Jurgen's here. Jurgen, we're talking about lots of fun stuff today. Some slang that none of us understand. Jurgen, do you guys have Riz in Belgium?
Can we get an espresso
I don't know why I'm
machine?
asking him. He's filled with Riz.
How much do you
He
think
probably doesn't even pay
an
attention.
espresso machine is?
An espresso machine? A good one? How
Or a
much do you
regular
think?
one?
Yeah, regular. Listen, if you're going to invest in a coffee, if you're going to be a barista, you need to invest in a coffee
How
machine.
much do you think?
How much do you think a fancy coffee machine could cost? From like Crate and
Oh
Barrel.
no, those big ones.
Yeah, the big one.
Those ones like hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds.
Thousands.
Thousands. Yeah, come on. That's for fancy people. So much Riz. Oh, wait. Jurgen said, no Riz. What is it? Jurgen, you have it. That's how you woo people with your charm. It's charisma. It's short for charisma. And that's basically how you got me to date you on a cruise ship on my 50th birthday. And then I'm now contemplating moving to Bruges. You have Riz. Don't worry about it. $1,000. How much sugar did you put in here?
Oh, a lot.
A lot. Yeah. No, I tasted it. It's really good. Thank you. I'm going to be talking so fast to Ann. She'll be like, can you slow down a minute? Can you put that coffee down? Mm. That is good. Thank you. So speaking of very niche-y groups that may fall in love with you, listen, just for fun, put in the comments as our guest is getting ready to come on. Put in the comments of like, who do you think is your like niche when it comes to men? Like you're like, listen, I might not be getting what I want, but what's coming after me is this. Now, I've already claimed Al the plumber and Greg the power washer and guys at urinals, but who would you say, and so say your age, say like I'm 60, and the guys that are digging me or girls that are digging me, whoever, whatever your pleasure is, people are digging me. It doesn't mean that you have to be dating them. You're just like, I get a vibe. This person's into me. Right now, it's all service people and a lot of bathrooms for me personally. Carrie's like, I claim Jason Bateman. Wow. I thought only his wife could claim Jason Bateman, but cool. I wish. My boobs bring all the Bob guys out. What does that even mean? What's about just guys named Bob? It's very specific. You're in your 40s and whoever's at the karaoke bar is into you. Cool. I'm almost 65 and I feel like I attract weirdos. I think that might be a common answer. I don't notice people digging me, but I scored Jed. Well, there you go. I'm 71 and now it's all the young boys. You're not wrong. What is it that with 20-year-olds that want to just hang out? I'm like, where's your mom? We probably should shop together. What are you talking about? Why are you talking to me? Mm-hmm. I have a strong vibe with morticians. Very niche-y. Or sorry, the boob guy. Oh, Jill, that made sense. She said I have nice boobs. So a lot of guys named Bob are after me. But no, she said guys that like boobs. That makes a lot more sense. But if any of them were named Bob, it would be a home run for you. My niche involves, AA batteries. Okay, Melanie, another good answer. 69. No vibes given, no vibes gotten. Oh, Kathy, somebody's throwing vibes at you. You might not be picking it up. Oh, but there's vibes. Mm-hmm. Old guys at the beach love me. I love everybody's niche. I'm 74 and it's the youngins. Is it because they want us to cook pasta? Is that what it is? I don't know what it is. Why got young guys want to date all the older ladies? I think it must be how I touch the fruit. I'm 49 and guys love me in the produce department. Again, didn't know this was a niche. Cool. I'm 50 and if they're crazy, they love me. Also very niche-y and everybody. Mm-hmm. People with mommy issues. 68. Been so long I wouldn't even recognize the vibe. Judy, I was vibing on you. And I don't even know why you're at. When we went to that coffin in Saskatoon, I was like, I love her. She's my bestie. Whose fruit you touching? People talk to me all the time in the produce section when I'm choosing fruit. I have given so many produce picking. I didn't know that this was a hotbed for picking up people. It was just hanging out and fondling fruit in your local store. Have I been missing out on this whole nugget? 68. My niche are any guys that I talk to first. Sometimes I can't get them to shut up. Jill is killing it with the boobs and the talking. It's because older ladies cook. You're right. Oh, Junie, and you got some. All you. No one is hitting on me that I know of. Too focused to get away and get home to my hot hubby. Oh, there you go. Mm-hmm. Dang. My son tells me I smile too much and look mean and people won't talk to you. 71 and lost dogs are in love with you. You're not wrong. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell Grandma to do her words with friends?
Right now?
Yeah.
Why don't you text her? I don't know if Grandma's here.
She probably is.
Feels like the long way around. I feel like you could just text her directly. Okay, cool. After your leg is healed, you should head right for the produce section. You're not wrong. I talk to everyone everywhere, so I have no clue. Oh, wrong, Jill. I do not have the boobs. Got it. That's a very specific Jill. I just found a deer shoulder blade in my yard. We have woods behind the house. Bet it was coyotes. Okay. Let's just unpack that first sentence. I just found a deer shoulder blade in my yard. Was it labeled? How would you how would you possibly know what part of the deer? If I got a part of a deer in my hand, I'd be like, they got this thing. It says made by a deer. How would you know it's specifically the shoulder blade? You guys really live weird lives. I randomly don't find bones in the yard and then can't put it back together. If there was just a whole bunch of bones, I wouldn't know where they would go to make a deer, but you seem to know. She paid attention during anatomy. Yeah, look, there's a clavicle. And I bet it's from a deer named, and I think his name's Fred. What? It's very specific. Okay, deer forensics, very specific. Okay, this conversation's gone a lot of different ways. Let's get back on track. So I do believe that all of us are given out a vibe, and that vibe might be different in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s and your 50s and beyond, whatever. But a new friend of mine that I made during the Irma Bombeck conference, her name is Ann Garvin. I think hers was the first class that I took, and I loved it. And then she's friends with our other friend, Julie Cantrell, who you guys remember was a New York Times bestselling author as well. And they are in a fun ladies group together, which we're going to talk about. But Anne is hilarious. She's written a ton of books, which I'm going to tell you about in a second. But I think it was last week, she just had an essay in the modern love section of the New York Times, and it was phenomenal. So I asked her to join us and tell us all about what she's doing, what she's up to, how you can find her. So let me introduce her formally. So Ann Garvin is a PhD, is the USA Today bestselling author and finalist for the Thomas Wolfe Fiction Prize. She's the author of 6 funny and sad novels. She writes about people who do too much in the world that ask too much from them. She works as an RN. She worked as an RN, and after receiving her PhD, taught exercise physiology and health psychology for 30 years at the University of Wisconsin system. She currently teaches creative writing at Drexel University, in their low residency Masters of Fine Arts program, and has held positions at Miami University and Southern New Hampshire in their Masters of Fine Arts creative writing programs. Anne is the founder of multiple award-winning Tall Poppy Writers, which is a group of traditionally published authors committing to help readers find wonderful books. I know you're going to love her, so please help me welcome to the show, Ann Garvin. Hey, Ann!
Love the applause.
I was so excited to have you. I've been following you since we met at Irma, and I saw your amazing spread in the New York Times. Tell us all about that. How exciting was that?
Oh, it was one of those things where, life is it's such a grind. Everything's such a grind.
Yeah.
And everything you do is like, oh, I've done this for so many years and I still can't, whatever. And so after I wrote an essay that went kind of viral at Irma, right?
Yeah, I remember.
I know. I thought, my friend said, you should write a modern love. And that's like saying, you should go fly to the moon. It'll be fun. And so I thought, okay. So I wrote a follow-up of it, and they picked it and put it up within like 2 weeks.
Wow.
So it was amazing because it was one of those things that was not a grind. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where you're like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
So that's now I do everything sort of the hard way. I like, oh, that's the way to do it. Okay, I'm going to do it 7 times harder.
Yeah.
This was like, oh, you mean, like I didn't have to blow anybody. I mean, like I didn't. Maybe we could say that, right? Like it's just, where are we?
Yeah, we're nowhere. There's no.
I don't usually blow people. I'm just going to say.
Fair. Okay. Well, you're among friends. Let me put it to you that way. You're basically welcome. So anytime. And
years ago, maybe for high school, but
pretty niche.
Prom. But for this, like it was just such a lovely, like, oh my God, that happened. And so I've been walking around feeling like, yeah, it's really nice. And it's one of those things, I'm sure it's in everything, but you know how you have such chronic like self-doubt and low self-esteem whenever, and especially funny women, right?
Yeah.
And like, I'm only marginally funny. I'm like this kind of funny.
No, you're awesomely funny. So tell everybody what the original article was, because I feel like I love the Modern Love one, but I also have read the original. So maybe just kind of unpack what that original article was about.
So Madison Magazine asked me to write something about like killing it after a certain age. And like I get so annoyed at that question because I'm like, what does my age have to do with it? Like, what did I crawl out of the crypt and I did this thing and then everybody's like, look at that old person, good for her. I hate that so much. As if all those years you put in, you're like laying around and looking butterflies and then you woke up and you did this thing. Like, it's so ridiculous. I get so mad, obviously.
Yeah. I love that about you.
And so then I said, well, I'm not going to write that, but I am going to write about ageism. Like, got a bone to pick with ageism. And I wanted to write about that. So then I wrote about it, but like to really, like I got fired from Southern New Hampshire University, and I am certain it was because I was a funny lady of a certain age, like certain of it. I think I like scared him. I think I, whatever, the director. It's a long story, and that was my first sort of viral thing. I wrote a thing about that. So anyway, I just was like, I am so sick of all this and I'm going to write about it, but it's hard to find. Like when I wanted to sue that guy, they were like, you have to get him on tape saying, I hate old ladies. Like it's impossible to, it's really hard. It's very hard to get people to say, I hate old ladies unless they're hammered and you're around, right? And you hit on them maybe. So I couldn't, I couldn't do anything with that. So I had to find an example of a like stone cold ageist.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's not that hard, right? So I went on this date it was actually several years ago. And he said to me during the date, I just wish I thought I was going to be dating younger women. And I'm like sitting across from him, his age, probably younger, going, did you know? Like, did you? Or you with somebody sitting your age, like, oh, like, who do you think he was? So anyway, I wrote that. And that, I just like dutifully put it out on X, like that morning. And then it went wild because I think there's a lot of ladies out there mad about ageism, but also mad at this idea that, the older men want some little
Tanya just wrote, I thought I was going to be dating smarter men. It's a good compliment.
Where were you? Where were you? Where was my earpiece?
Yeah, I know. But in the moment when things like that are being said, you're like in shock. You're like, did he just say what I think he just said to me while I'm standing on this date? Yeah.
All right. You're not in performance mode. You're in appropriate mode, right? And so I left, right? And then I wrote the article. So then it seemed like everybody was very upset that I wasn't partnered on the internet. Mostly people were like, yes, age sucks. And don't worry, you'll find your person. And I was like, wait, that's not what we're talking about. But everybody was very upset about it. So and the funny thing is that I kind of found my person while I'd found him ages ago, but I didn't like focus on him in that way. And so then I was like, I kind of found my person, but it was too late to tell everybody because everybody wandered off and was looking at Justin Timberlake or something at that point, right? So then I thought, okay, I'm going to write about that piece of it next. And then I wanted to write a little bit about my own sort of aging bias because we all have it. Like we all have it.
Yeah.
And so then I wrote that for the New York Times and then they picked it up. And now I don't have that low self-esteem anymore. Like, it'll last a good week and a half, but a good week and a half, I was like, in Trader Joe's, I bet you want me. Like you do, right? Yeah. And so in
the produce section, probably. You're like, also in the produce section.
I don't even need to fondle these. I'm in New York.
I was in the New York Times. I don't even do fondle stuff, guys. So
I kind of want to make a dress out of it. Just wear it around for those that don't know.
Well, I loved it too because you posted about it. And then you had posted, you're like, even my kids seem to be impressed. And that was the other thing that I love because, I feel like we do a lot of stuff, again, women getting older, doing amazing things. And your kids don't care because you're their mom. And they're like, yeah, okay, everybody does that. But like she had a picture of her kids were holding it up. They were like, yeah, look what mommy did. Mommy does stuff too. So
well, I made them, obviously made them.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. But like when I went viral and I sent out a text to my kids, I was like, just casually going viral over here. And my daughter was like, Mom, I need a nap. Can we talk about this another time?
That's really
I think
funny.
they learned from that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember years ago, I used to work for this magazine called Real Simple Magazine. And they had this TV show, but they also had the magazine. But my kids were pretty young. They were like my Dean was probably 7, 5, and 3. And so we wandered into a store one day, and the next issue of the magazine came out, and I knew I was going to be in it. It was going to be like a tiny little picture at the bottom of the page, but I was so excited. So I'm dragging 3 kids over. I got strollers, I got stuff, I got snacks, and the whole thing. And I opened it up, and I was like, Dean, look, there's mommy. Mommy's in the magazine. He's like, can we get candy? And I was like, okay. I was like,
you're good people. I got to get older people.
Yeah. Just throw it in the trash. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's lovely.
So, so impressed. That's what I want to say to them. That lady across the street, she loves me.
Yeah, exactly. So tell everybody, because we had the pleasure of hanging with Julie Cantrell, and she was telling us all about Story Summit. Tell everybody how you kind of found your passion in writing. I think it's been the best part of kind of dipping my toe into this pool now, is meeting so many amazing authors. So tell everybody a little bit how you got started.
Well, it was, I hadn't always been a writer, not by a long shot. In fact, my mentor when I was getting my PhD was like, you're the worst writer I've ever met, ever. Just saying. Which is, it's science. So yeah, I didn't like writing it, and it showed. So whatever. I was always a reader. Authors were always my rock star. I never really thought that I would enter that. I never really did. And then I entered a contest and I won second place, and it was kind of a big deal contest. And I was like, wait, what? And it was the first thing I'd ever written. I'd never written anything before.
Wow.
They sent you a piece of art and you had to write it in 24 hours. So there was like, you had to look at a picture, write a story about it, and then get it to them within 24 hours. So there's no editing really. Like there's no like, should I write something different? You just have to do it.
Yeah.
That was nice. And then nobody knew about it. So I couldn't, like I'd lose, and I figured, well, nobody's going to know I'm a loser. I'll just know I'm a loser. So, which I already knew. So, so when I won, I was like, what? And then I was like, I got to teach myself how to do this. And so that's what I did then over the next, time. I was looking for something creative to do. Like I'd made 8,000 wool felted pillows.
Huh. It's a very specific niche.
At night, they were little. What can you do?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could do like video sex or wool felted pillows. And I just
both solid choices.
I did the pillows. Mm-hmm. So then, so I started to learn how to do it. And then after I, got an agent, got published, I was sitting in my chair on the day that my book came out. I had pneumonia, and it was the day of my divorce. And I had been trying to get into my small hometown newspaper that I lived in that was a good 7 pages long. And they kept bumping me because this 8th grader kept making 3-pointers. Here goes that career. Bye. Because I thought, how am I can't even get into the Stoughton hub. Like, what? So then I thought, this is so dumb. I'm sitting there, with my antibiotics going, this is the dumbest thing ever. I'm never going to get another book deal. I'm going to sell 3 books and they're going to say goodbye. Because it was in Penguin. Penguin was my publisher, and they're not going to take you again if you only sell 7 books and you can't get into the hub.
Yeah.
So I thought, why don't authors have like front bands? Like what's that? Why aren't they bringing people in, and why aren't they sorting out like unknown authors and bringing them in at famous bookstores and stuff? And I just thought, this is crazy. And why do all the authors work in a silo? Like, why is everybody talking about their own books and not talking about each other's books? Because frankly, I'm not in love with talking about my own books. I hate to say, here's my book, I want to sell you this.
Yeah.
My friends,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, if I make a group where everybody talks about each other's books, then I don't have to talk about my book.
Yeah. Well, so I want to get into Tall Poppies in a second, but so how old were you, or how long? You don't just tell me how old you were.
No, it's fine. I'd have to do the math, but let's see. It was
when you first decided to start writing, and then how long before you published that first book?
Oh, so it was 2004 when that story got published. And then it was 2010 when the book came out.
Wow.
So I bet I started and then I had 2 little kids and a full-time job. And I was also, you know what it's like. And I was divorced.
Yeah.
So I spent most of my time on the road taking people to soccer games and stuff like that. So I was trying to learn how to write during that time. I got an agent in 2009. So I suppose I finished my book in maybe 2008.
Wow.
So, I just really focused on it, but I honestly didn't think for sure that would happen. I didn't know. You know how you start, you're like, I can write a book. And then you're like, oh, you need an agent. Oh, you need what do you need? I was learning that, while I was doing it. And I was old. So I'm 62 now. So it was 2010 when my first book came out, and then 2004 when I wrote. So I'd have to do the math because I try not to think.
You were 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's been great because, I left my university job so that I could do it full time, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, but I only left that job because I was able to retire from that job. So, otherwise you can't leave your job because you may not make enough to live, right?
Yeah.
I just kind of want to tell people that because I don't like people thinking, oh, she's successful now, making so much money. That's actually not true. But also I want people to realize if you want to publish, you've got to take your meds and you've got to keep your job. And those are the 2 things that I think are very
Are there many, so it's very similar in comedy, of all the comedians that you have heard of or know, that's only the top 10%, but 90% of people will never make their full-time income from stand-up. They have full-time jobs. They do it on the side. They love it. It's a passion for them, but they're never going to get to that level where they're able to kind of provide for themselves. Right. I was going to say, is it similar in writing? Are there some writers that is it 10% that are actually kind of making their living?
I bet it's less than that. There were some 80% of writers stop after 3 books. So 80% of traditionally published authors. So I'm talking about traditional published, self-published is a really different animal.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about just traditionally published, because I couldn't go self-published because I can't do all that stuff. Legitimately can't do it. So, and the people that do it well, they're amazing. But 80% of authors stop after 3 books. I bet it's closer to 2 books now. And they say the majority of people that publish a book don't sell over 2,000 copies because that's kind of a lot of copies.
Wow.
And so I bet it's 1% or less, or much less.
Wow.
It's people I don't make enough to live.
Yeah.
Very few people that do. Because here's the other part of it. It's not just living, right? You have to market your own stuff.
Yeah.
And so,
that's what I love about Tall Poppies. So let's talk about that because I think it's really quite genius. And I think it follows along very much with how we feel about the people that we have on our show. We focus a lot on women. We just had the woman, her name is Dion Forrest. She holds the Guinness Book of World Records for being the oldest living working comedian. And she's celebrating her 90th birthday on July 29th. And we're going to try to go see her in New York. We're going to try to put together a group. But we have the fart walk lady from Canada who just talks about healthy eating and farting after dinner. But you find women and, however they find their voice. With you, it's writing. For her, it's cooking and making these videos. And for Dion, it's doing stand-up. But it's always great to see people following their passion. So talk about Tall Poppies. How many people are kind of in your collective? How does that work?
So we've been going since 2012. We work without a budget. There's just me and Stephanie Burns, who's my COO. And now I have some help with Sarah Alice because she is the person that runs the Irma Bombeck conference, and she's starting to help me.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. It's amazing. And So we've been doing it for years, but we did it without any help. It was just us, and it was a collaborative people. And we've had enough 50 to like whatever. Now we have like 37 people fall out of it. We bring new people in, but we're the only group that I know of that has both diverse authors and diverse titles. And when I say that, I mean all kinds of genre. Like we're not just romance, we're not just women's fiction, we're historical fiction, we're thriller, we're all everything.
So this collective is all female authors, and the idea is that you have kind of a website. It's like a clearinghouse. What is that website? I'll put it into the post.
Tallpoppies.org. Yeah.
And the idea is that you could go to this place, right, Anne, and then find a number of different amazing female authors that are all writing different things.
Yeah, with a huge backlist. We're all mid-list authors, meaning like none of us are, considered the biggest names, right? And I mean, some of us are, I don't know how to categorize us, but we're, how it is with writing, and I'm sure with comedy, you go up and down and up and down. You're
Really?
only as good as your last sales of your last book, and if they tank, then you're nobody anymore. So and what we do is a collaborative effort. We just like, if one book comes out, we all launch it and talk about it. If they're doing an event, we launch it and talk about it. Like if there's jealousy, I don't know about it. It cured me of any jealousy of any sort. I'm just happy for everybody, even though like there are times when I'm like that, like everybody's got their, their person, right? But for in our group, everybody knows what everybody's struggling with. And so our job really is to help everybody. Like if somebody's got a sick husband, like we really push it out then. And we try really hard to do it all in terms of that. But again, we don't work with a budget. So we don't have a lot of, like we would do more partnerships. We would do so many things if we could get some money, but we don't even have time to write a grant for it. So we just like keep going and we love it. And it's great. It's just, it's come and it has had some trouble. Like we've almost, in the pandemic, we almost were decimated, but then we've restructured and come back, and it's great because it's like this idea of I'll tell two friends and you tell two friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. But it's also, women are competitive, right? Like it's hard. And there are a certain kind of woman that doesn't get in. And they're the ones that are there because we get a lot of people like, I want to be a poppy, but they don't even know about us. They just want to be they want to see what the poppies will do for them. And honestly, you should be thinking about like, how can I help other people find readers?
Yeah.
And that's really the way to go. But if somebody comes in and they're like, you just know that they want to use us. And sometimes I get duped and they come in and then they drop out a year later. And I'm like, but we just try to be as useful and helpful. That's what
I thought was so great about Irma, because I think yours was the first session that I went to. And then I went to, I follow her on Facebook. She did the session. And she was also really tall. We were talking about pants. Who is it? Tiffany Yates, right? That's her name?
Yeah.
So I went to her session as well. I obviously knew Julie before, but it was so great to be at Irma. And I said to Julie, Julie, have you met Anne? Because she's amazing. I just came from her class. And she was like, Dina, I'm in the group. And I was like, oh, you guys. But it was just so great that there were so many great speakers and everyone was so lovely. And to know that you guys kind of have this sisterhood where you do promote each other was just really lovely, because I think, like you're saying, whatever that art form is, like today I'm meeting with my girlfriend, Missy. She's also trying to write a book. We're both comics. But having a person to talk to creatively or to work with and kind of set goals for yourself and others, I think is super helpful and helps people move along quicker. And like you're saying, like it does take a while. There's not a lot of female comedians to begin with, especially not locally. I outside of Philly. So when you start, you don't see women very often. It's mostly men. And I think that there is, because there's less of us, there's can be some competition. But as you get older, you realize it's good for all of us. Like, we're not competing. And, you know, when you're coming up right after another comic in a row, there's part of you that's like, well, I have to be better. I have to be that. And you're like, I can just do what I'm doing and be really good at what I do. And you can then listen to Missy, and she's really great at what she does. And it is about just celebrating these different voices, and everybody's kind of in a different place. And like, maybe somebody will wrap around and do a modern love piece, and it'll be just as good as yours was. And it's just a different
and I'll be like, oh my God, now we're part of that community. Like I always say, that there's no top. What are they talking about? There's not just a one person up here. It's a everybody can win. And when women win, it's a win.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
so
great.
Because we need the voices of women, and we get silenced all the time. And so especially funny women, funny women. But you know, if you ever want to do a writing thing where we talk about funny, somebody should, because Irma's the only one.
Yeah.
And so if you ever want to do a short one, a small one, I'll come to Philly and we can do it, or we can do it in LA.
Lovely. Yeah. That would be lovely. So I know some people don't have not everybody has a subscription to the New York Times. So if you can find the article, go find it. It's hilarious. But also find the original, which you can find at AnnGarvin.com. She has all of her blogs there. And you can see that, because that original article is there.
Yeah, the original article is there. And I think I'm going to reprint the New York Times one in my blog. I think I can do that. So I'll put it in.
Okay, good. And I want to show, because I thought it was so cool. Hold on, let me find it. It's on my desktop. But download desktops. There was something else I wanted to ask you. Oh, so wait, I want to show everybody this, because it's so pretty. This is what I saw on Ann's Instagram, and it just was so cool. Here is a picture of the article. He wanted to date younger women, which made me angry at him and then at myself. So this is that continuation piece. This is the piece you'll see on Modern Love in the New York Times. So you can check that out. But what writers are you inspired by? Who are the people that you loved coming up?
Well, you know, I loved Irma, obviously, but I was too young to love her. I don't know about you, but I was like way too young to love.
Yeah, I started reading her when I started doing stand-up, because it was one of the OGs of writing about funny motherhood. So I found her later. I didn't know her when I was growing up, but I found her later.
I think my mom had her. You know what I mean? And so I think I read one of her books, or she said something to me about it. And so I found her then. And then I used to read, did you ever read Elizabeth Berg? She's still famous. And she has a really great way of being funny and sad, right? And then, so I read a lot of her work, because and Lori Moore, because she does funny and sad. But she's very literary. And then I read Olive Kitteridge, you know, the Elizabeth Strout. She won the Pulitzer, which doesn't sound like it's going to be funny, but it is funny. It's funny and sad. And so when I realized that what I write is funny and sad, it was like, and it's a hard niche. Like, people are like, you need to pick a lane. And I said, I only think like this.
Yeah.
This is my lane. And it took a while to find the people that really liked it.
Yeah.
And then once you find it, you realize everybody kind of likes it, but it takes a minute.
It takes
a minute. So those were my sort of influences, and now, you know, there's a lot of people that I think, unfortunately, I think it's really hard to market funny books because they look wacky and then you're like, I don't read that weird, wacky stuff, right? So Maria Semple is sort of my person, but like Sophie Kinsella is amazing, and Maddie Dowds is amazing, but sometimes their books are marketed and you look at them, you're like, I'm not sure I read that fluffy thing. And you read it and it's much deeper, much better, because, you know, humor is pain.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think they don't really know how to market it.
Yeah.
And I always think it doesn't matter how they market it, because if you think you're going to read a drama and it makes you laugh, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But if you think you're going to read something funny and it doesn't make you funny, everybody's mad.
Well, I think it's so interesting because, you know, I'm coming from stand-up. And so when I'm writing, I've done stand-up so long that I kind of know my rhythm. And I'm like, I think this will be funny when read. But I can't imagine without being without having the stand up, I think I give kudos to you for you to be able to write something on a page that you've never said in front of an audience, you've never gotten feedback on, and be like, no, this is funny, because your articles are so funny. So, but I think I need to hear it. But without knowing I was getting 20 years of training in stand up to write a book, it's been interesting. I give props to anybody that can just know it. Like, I love David Sedaris as a comedy writer. He does a lot of those tours where he'll go and he'll read some of these essays and he gets feedback. And he says, if I'm reading something and somebody, I think he said, because he did it, I listened to his master class online. Yeah. And he said, if somebody starts coughing while I'm reading, I make a note of it, because it means that they're, even though it's like something you can't control, he says that's a sign that something needs to be fixed here. It's going too slow. Like it was very interesting, because I think comedy is so specific to, like, do I still have your attention? Are you still in this story? And he is so in tune to that. So it was pretty interesting to read.
I did stand up years ago, like when I was an undergrad. And then, and then, but I taught for 30 years undergrads who don't give a shit about what I'm teaching. And so I did that. Like, the only way I could do it was to make them laugh. So if I'm teaching something, like, I can make it funny. Yeah. And that's how I know. Like, I don't do the stand-up, but I do now, but I teach. And then I use my humor when I'm teaching. Yeah. And so I know the cadence of it. I know the timing of it, that kind of thing. So that helps me. Just having that experience of standing up in front of bored people who don't want to be there and have been forced to be there. And if there's something else, like I always tell people when they introduce me at a conference, do not say I'm funny. Because if they funny is surprise, right? Like, I don't want them to start out like, okay, make me laugh. I just want them to be like, I'm going to be bored. And then you make them laugh and they're surprised. Yeah, no, it's great. It's easier in some ways. So, yeah.
It is. So last things, you can find Ann at anngarvin.com. Do you have any advice for women who might be interested in starting the writing process, or even if it's to do it for their own health and well-being? Like, what do you want to leave people with?
I think here's what I would say. You got to figure out why your friends like you and why they think you're funny or why they love you. And you got to lean into who that is in your voice. And a lot of times when we're writing, we're like, I'm writing now. It's a very serious endeavor, right? And all of a sudden you're like, I'm a writer. And you think that sentence sucks. Well, that's just because you're not being yourself. So you really have to lean into your voice. And I always say, like, if I was a formal trained author, I think they would have wrecked me, because I would have listened to them. And they would have not leaned into my quirky voice. And so I think you have to figure out what makes you quirky, what's your personality, and then what do you want to say? And those are the two things I think. Like, sometimes people are writing, they're like, this is kind of funny, and people will be like, yeah, but what's the point of that? You got to have a kind of a point, and you got to lean into your own self. Once you do that, everything else opens up. But if you're trying to be a writer, you're gonna screw it up. Like, you just got to be yourself and figure out what you got to say. I you feel like that, because I can tell from your comedy, you know who you are and you know what you want to say.
Well, it is so true. When I took this comedy class when I started, and the teacher had said, you got to start doing stand up. Don't wait till you're ready, because you'll never be ready. And just start doing it. But it'll take you 10 years to find your voice. And everyone in the class is an a-hole, and they're like, I'll find it in 3. These losers, it'll take 10. And at 3, you're like, I totally know my voice. And then at 7, you're like, I didn't know my voice at all. Now I know my voice. You don't really. And then at 10, you're like, now I don't give a shit what my voice is. And that's when you find your voice.
That's when you find it.
And that's what, it was. And so 2 of my kids are doing stand-up now. And there's a certain part of that where you do have to learn, like, what's the setup? What's a punchline? How does this feel? Kind of those prompts to kind of give you ideas. But both of them got those concepts real quick. And then they would come back in and they'd be like, what about this joke? What about this joke? And they'd be fine jokes. And I'd say, what is it that you're struggling with right now? Like, you talk to me all the time with things that you struggle with. Why aren't you talking about those? And she's like, well, nobody wants to hear about this or that. I'm like, whatever you feel right now as a college student, you all feel the same way. And getting that in your head, that if you are the kind of person that could watch people, listen to your friends, listen to things you're saying, be like, oh, same thing here. It's same thing everywhere. And I think it's an important thing. Even here, like we've been doing this whole series, we have my friend, Finance Michelle. She's great at finances, but I'm 50 and like you, recently divorced. And I was trying to get my finances together. I still didn't have a will. What about everything with my mom? And so I was like, I can't be the only one trying to still raise kids, take care of my parents, deal with divorce stuff. And so we have taken a lot of the people here on this journey and having hard conversations and hard topics. And I thought it was just beautiful how you spoke about Jim in the article, and just kind of how you guys kind of fell in love, and really learning something about yourself from one article to the next, and being like, I'm just as responsible without really knowing that I was doing it. And so I thought it was great. So I'm so glad that you can join us. And so tell everybody before we go, I'm going to get my charger because it's going to hang up, but tell everybody about the book coming up September 1st. Tell everybody.
Okay. Yeah. So my book, I wish I could hold it up so you could read it in the right way. It's called Bummer Camp. And the story's about a camp counselor who wants to open up a camp for anxious and depressed adults, but he sucks at everything. And he hires only anxious and depressed college students to run it. And so the guy disappears, and they have to throw a gala to save the camp, a very bougie gala, because very bougie people are coming. With only the things they have at a summer camp, sleepaway camp. And so it's not bougie, and everybody is anxious, and everybody's a little depressed, and everybody is all of us, which I always like a good loser, or I like a good weirdo. And I feel like we're all weirdos in our own way. And that's what this book is. It's like a place for all the weirdos to find a place to be and a place to play. And that's why I wrote the book. And this was a wild one. I hope people like it, because this is probably the one that I leaned into myself in the most aggressive way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So that comes out September 1st.
September 1st. Yep. Okay. And we're doing a big launch where we get to stay at the camp that this is sorted out at, right? In upstate Wisconsin. It's about an hour from Madison, Wisconsin. We have tickets available if people are interested, but I call it a, old lady sleepaway camp. It's like a nice lady sleepaway camp, and it's all of us and a bunch of other authors, and it's going to be all the s'mores you can eat. And we're mirroring the same thing. It's the protocol from the book for the kids.
Awesome. I saw that under your events on your website. So be sure to check that out. Especially, we have lots of people from all over the country. So if you're in the Wisconsin area or surrounding area and you're looking for just a fun thing for you to do as a woman, as a mom, as a reader, check out that event. Before we go, one of my favorite other speakers, and I think she's a tall poppy, was Jacqueline
Machard. Wasn't she funny?
During the lunch at Irma, I literally was on the edge of my seat. I mean, it's fantastic.
I always say, I'm like, Jackie, I don't know why you don't write more funny. Like, why aren't you writing? She goes, nobody thinks I'm funny. I'm like, get up there and do your speech. Because she was so funny. She's so dry.
So funny. And it was funny because you did the intro for her, right? For that session. And it was a beautiful intro about their relationship, how they met. And Jacqueline went up and she was so funny. And so they had after each of the speakers, kind of performed or spoke, they had a book signing. And so I was in her line, but I was supposed to be at Sessions because her line was so long. So I'm like waiting in the line, but I'm in the line. And I said to the girl, no, which one of these is the funny one? And they were like, what? And I go, which one of these is the funniest one? And they were like, none of these are funny. And I was like, what? I was like, she's hilarious. She's like, she doesn't write funny books. I'm like, she should write a funny book. It was her thing about being in the pool with the firefighters.
I know. You can get her on here if you want to bring her on.
I would love to.
No, I'll introduce you.
Love to. Yes, for sure. I was going to say, I would love to help out. I think that, all of you do such good work. And so we should talk about, if anyone has some other great books coming up, we'd love to hear about it. And I'd love to hear more about your event in Wisconsin too. So we'll have to chat about it. It says the camp is in Stevens Point, Wisconsin.
Yeah. So you can fly into Madison because we have a major airport. You can fly into Chicago and it's only like an hour and a half drive. So we have a lot of people that are going to kind of coming from all over the place for it. We have some people from Philly and some people from all over, and it's going to, we're going to be, I know it sounds funny, but it's not really roughing it, but we're in the kids' camp. We're in the cabins, right? No tents. And it's going to just be, I want to have like a plucking the chin hair station. And I want to, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be like, you didn't stub your toe getting here. Here's a badge.
Yeah. Yeah. How many people can go on your trip? Do you have like a limit or?
We can open up more rooms, but right now we are kind of running out of tickets. So people are going to have to, like, if they want to do it, they're going to have to sign up. But I think it's only like, it's $350 or something, but you get the nights, you get 2 nights and all the food for 3 days, and you get book swag and author swag. And we're going to have a pop-up market, and we're going to have a dance and an auction. Like, I think it's going to be ridiculous and fun.
I love it.
Not like, it's going to be organized, but it's not going to be like a typical conference. It's just going to be like ladies. All the nice ladies.
Yo, everybody over here, we're having s'mores like that.
Come on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk about cramps. Let's talk about menopause. Let's talk about your chin hair. That's what it's going to be.
I love it.
Yeah.
So do yourself a favor, everybody, and follow Ann Garvin on Instagram, you're on TikTok, you're on Twitter, the Facebook as well. Do yourself a favor as well and go check out Tall Poppies because besides Ann, there are a ton of other. Jacqueline's on that list who we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Julie Cantrell is on that list. So you will find Tiffany is on that list that we talked about in the class as well. So if you're looking for some great books to check out, check out these fine authors. And I think it's wonderful that it's just all about promoting women in the arts and writing. So, so thank you so much, Ann, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. What a great way to start the morning.
So thank you so much. And let's have you back when you get closer to that launch and you can tell us all about the Wisconsin trip and all the fun stuff.
Okay, I'll be there.
All right. Thanks, Ann. I'll see you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Is she not amazing? Man, she came out with talking about, listen, I didn't even have to do dirty things in order to get this book published. And that's how I would like to publish my book. Not the other way, without having, okay, let's just leave it at that. I know, the most delightful women, Judy from Saskatoon. So if you're a reader, you love funny things, she's amazing. All of them are amazing. And just super positive. Like that was the experience at Irma across the board, is that everybody's just really encouraging and just kind of finding whatever your passion is. Guns a-blazing, she came in, and that's how we like our guests. So hopefully you enjoyed Ann just as much as I did. So check out Tall Poppies, check out anngarvin.com. Some great things happening. We have one more morning show here tomorrow morning. And then Friday, we will be on the road and heading to Nashville for our own trip. So loved her, but we read the same book. So she's my people. Yeah, that's how you know. Yeah, we do. Can't find my passion. Angie, we're going to find it. I'm going to keep bringing guests here. And she'll like, finally, Dita, this is the one that's for me. So thanks for watching, everybody. As always, thanks to sexy producer Michelle for getting Ann set with us this morning. And lots of fun stuff coming up, like Judy from Saskatoon and Good Time Andrea say, do something nice for yourself or others. And thanks for watching as always. And we'll see you in the morning. Have a great day and a blessed day, everybody. We'll see you. Bye.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's morning show, make sure to follow us for more One Funny Mother content.
Okay, all right. Morse code is tapping.
And check out OneFunnyMotherStore.com for great new inappropriate swag. And for more exclusive content, consider becoming a supporter.
She got a bad leg.
Thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow on One Funny Morning.